morning guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to episode 3 of the Blown Evo 10 rebuild. Before we get started, you guys saw just a minute ago we picked up the Varus bumper for my own personal Evo 10. So I'm gonna pull this thing out of the truck. I need to go throw it on the car and make sure the color matches before the painter paints the hood and the other OEM bumper that we are having him paint. So let's go ahead and get it pulled out of the truck, head back behind the shop, pull my Evo 10 out, the half wrapped one, and make sure this color matches the OEM paint perfectly. Okay, yeah, I think it's time to pull the Evo out, like actually get it out of the field, because that is 2 mice we've caught now in the last 2 days. I don't know how many are actually in the car. I'm guessing there's a few more. There's probably like a family of mice just building a home in my car somewhere. So I should probably get it pulled out. I can't store it in the shop because Bobby's car is completely torn apart in there. Maybe I'll just bring it up there by the house in the gravel. I think that's what I'm gonna do actually. Wow, that's heavy. Let's go ahead and actually clean this car up a little bit. I'm gonna spray it off and then bring it over by the shop and vacuum it out, vacuum all that stuff out of the trunk. But real quick, let's make sure this color matches on the bumper. It's honestly really hard to tell until it's like bolted onto the car. All of the mounts for the bumper are not on there, so it's really hard to tell. But honestly guys, what do you think? I think it looks pretty close. I think it looks really close. Can you imagine how sick that is gonna look when it's actually bolted up on the car? Damn, this has always been my favorite bumper. We still have to put the carbon canards on. I wish the lip was carbon too, but it's not. It's all good though. As you can see, we got that center part painted black and it looks absolutely amazing. Yeah guys, I think I'm gonna go ahead and say that is good enough. It may not be 100% perfect, but I think it's good enough. Let's throw the car over there a little bit, vacuum out the trunk, and hopefully that kind of deters the mice. I'm definitely not going to keep it in the backfield anymore. I'll keep it somewhere up here, probably right over there. There we go. That should be much better. The shop is currently a complete disaster, so let's go ahead and get it cleaned up, and then we can pull Bobby's motor off of the subframe, get the motor torn apart, and then I kind of want to clean up the subframe as well, get it back onto Bobby's Evo and get that thing out of the shop. Alright guys, the shop is all cleaned up. Let's move on to pulling the motor off of the subframe. It should be really easy outside the car. I can leave the turbo on. Only thing I have to do is unbolt the motor from the tranny, unhook the throwout bearing, and it should be able to slide right off. You always want to get that throwout bearing disengaged before unbolting the tranny and motor. If you unbolt it first and then try to disengage that pain in the ass clip, it's really hard to do. So spend a minute, get it unclipped with a flathead screwdriver. All you have to do is put the screwdriver in there, twist it sideways, and it should release. I am going to go ahead and pull off that downpipe tube. That is definitely going to be in the way when removing the motor. Well, I'm sure glad we ran into that issue when the motor was out of the car. Can you imagine that stuck downpipe bolt with the motor in the car? That'd be a straight pain in the butt. But being that it's out of the car, it's like 5 minutes to get a stuck bolt out. Worked out pretty good. So there are 2 more bolts that are behind the transfer case holding the motor to the tranny. So we are gonna have to pull the transfer. We're gonna have to pull the turbo to pull the transfer. Yeah, pulling this whole setup together. Once again, just like I mentioned in yesterday's video, I find it the slower way. I find it much quicker to pull the motor and tranny together, leave the subframe, and transfer it in the car. Oh man, what a freaking pain. I'm just gonna start ripping everything apart, guys. So enjoy the time lapse. I'm gonna pull off like the CVs, the CV stubs. We gotta get the tranny and motor off of this whole subframe configuration, and then I'll probably end up putting the subframe back in the car and then doing it just like how I used to do it. Well, it appears I didn't actually get the throwout bearing clip disengaged, so now it's going to be a pain in the butt. But you know what? We'll get it. No, it is disengaged. There's something else holding it up. Oh, just needed to pry it. Sweet. Motor, tranny, transfer, subframe, everything is disconnected. I'm gonna go ahead, I think right now, clean up the transmission. It's completely disgusting. Clean up those parts right there, both CV axles. And then out here we have the whole front subframe. All this is gonna get cleaned up, make it nice and pretty while it's outside of the car. I might as well use all this kind of somewhat wasted time for something. So I'm gonna make all this completely spotless. And then the transfer case as well, I'm gonna clean up. But for now, let's give the shop a little bit of a cleaning. We have that oil absorber crap all over the floor and it's kind of making a mess. So let's get it all cleaned up. Alright boys, we got the shop all cleaned up, much better now. I cannot stand working in a disgusting shop and I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate. While the motor is still on the hoist, let's pull off the clutch, flywheel, turbo, manifold, and then we can get it up onto the engine stand and completely disassemble the motor. Let's get after it. Alright guys, it is game time. Let's get this thing ripped apart, see what's going on. We're going to start with the top end as usual. Valve cover, timing cover, head, flip the motor over, pull the pan. Let's get after it. So far the head looks to be okay. I can't see the bottom side of it yet, but there's still oil in all of the cam journals. And if you wipe the oil off, it's not scarred at all. So far the head is good. Let's go ahead and pop the head off and take a look at the bottom side, the valves, and take a look at the cylinder walls as well. That is going to be very, very exciting to check out. This right here is the moment of truth. Come on. So far, all of the cylinder walls look fine. The pistons look to be okay. Now let's check out the bottom of the head. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say the head is okay. I think the head looks fine, guys, which that's a very big expense if the head was toast. So let's continue disassembling the short block and see what else we can find. We may be in luck. This is where everything looks really heated up, as you can see right here. Everything in here looks like it got pretty dang hot, so I don't have the best feeling about it, but like, listen to that. You can hear that rod, that bearing's definitely shot. All the bearings are definitely shot, but, and there's no way I'd ever use this crank just because it got so hot. But the block is okay. Then we could just buy a new crank, new rods, new bearings, obviously pistons, and slap it back together. Well guys, we got some bad news. It looks like right there, the bearing spun in the block and it took a bunch of material out. So on 2 and 4, bearings were spinning in the block. So yeah, the block is shot, crank shot. Head's probably good. I'll drop it off and have it gone through. But yeah, whole bottom end of the motor shot, kind of like I expected. Yeah, that sucks. That really, really sucks. Well, with all that being said, if you have a short block or a complete motor that needs a rebuild, that has a piston failure, maybe a valve failure, since we have a good head, shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'd really appreciate it, and I'm sure Bobby would greatly appreciate it as well. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I'll see you bright and early in the morning. Get back to work on this Evo 10. See you guys then.